Homeowner with wild yard doubles down after persistent neighbor files dozens of complaints. This is just so charming.
That front yard looks hideous.
Fine of up to $2,000.
In a suburban neighborhood, for me, I think this looks pretty polarizing. Today, we're going to talk about a controversial gardening topic that's really taking hold. And as a gardener, I sit somewhere in between.
You keep me wondering, is our love strong?
Hi, it's Steph. Welcome to Hooked and Rooted, the channel all about landscape and ornamental gardening. Here on my channel, we cover garden education, DIY projects, and garden tours. Which sounds more appealing to you, a neatly edged lawn or a yard that's planted for pollinators and wildlife? In today's video, we're talking about the trend of repurposing front lawns and why it's become one of the most divisive topics in suburban gardening. Some people are rewilding, others can't grow grass because of site conditions, and some use their front lawn to grow food. Today we'll look at real examples, including a video of an angry mayor, a homeowner who transformed her front yard into a beautiful garden, and even a company that specializes in rewilding lawns. So why is this concept of repurposing your front lawn taking hold now? I think it's because societal norms have shifted. If you go back even 10 years ago, it was just commonplace to have a green front lawn. It's just what everyone did. But now with the use of social media, people are becoming more aware of these trends and are being inspired to grow something other than grass in their front yard. The first type of repurposing we're going to talk about is rewilding. And this is the concept of giving a portion of land back to nature. So whether it be your front yard, your backyard, or your entire yard, to grow native flowers, pollinator, and wildlife friendly plants. And I don't think it would be that much of an issue if you were just doing this in your backyard. The issue comes in is if you live in a suburban neighborhood and you're doing this in your front yard, which is out of the norm, right? So I found this one article that is titled, "Homeowner with Wild Yard Doubles Down After Persistent Neighbor Files Dozens of Complaints." This particular couple who had rewild their whole front yard and planted a bunch of native and wildlife friendly plants was complained on by her neighbor who had filed up to 30 complaints. So the town finally contacted these homeowners and let them know that they were in violation of a local ordinance. So what did they do? They doubled down. They went ahead and took steps to get their yard qualified as a national wildlife habitat. From the article, it reads, "I checked the county ordinance and made sure everything we had on our yard was in compliance. Things like purposely cultivated, which our wildflowers definitely were. We planted specific species of seeds and we removed whatever's not native. None of the wild plants block any sidewalks, nor do they hang over onto any other properties. I filled out the form, paid the fee, and got my certificate." So after they received the certificate, they called the town and they let them know. The town asked for a copy of the certificate to keep on file. And now anytime that a neighbor comes in to complain, they let them know that they are doing this for a purpose and that they are supporting the environment and pollinators. As I continued to research this topic, I came across several more articles about this, but I also came across a video of a local news station who had reported on this same topic, and the local mayor was really upset about it. But before we get into that, I want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Wild Grain. Wild Grain is the first bake from frozen subscription box for sourdough breads, artisanal pastries, and fresh pastas. They partner with small bakers and pasta makers across the country to help keep their tradition of artisanal, nutritious food alive. And with every box ordered, 2 meals are donated to a food security nonprofit of your choice at no extra cost. As someone who reads nutrition labels, I appreciate that their ingredients are simple and they use a slow fermentation process that can be easier on digestion and richer in nutrients. Everything bakes straight from frozen in 25 minutes or less. No thawing required. Fresh, warm bread and pastries whenever you want them. I get the classic variety box, which is a mix of their breads and pastries and pastas, but they also have vegan, gluten-free, and protein options, and they regularly add new seasonal items. This winter, we've been enjoying sourdough without the hassle of keeping a starter alive or the time commitment of baking from scratch, which honestly stresses me out. In just 25 minutes, I can have warm, fresh-baked sourdough that is delicious, made from clean ingredients that I feel good about feeding my family. I've mentioned my love for croissants before, and Wild Grain has some of the best I've had. Buttery, flaky, and just delicious. If you'd like to try Wild Grain, be sure to use the link in my description below and enter my code HOOKEDANDROOTED for $30 off your first box plus free croissants for life. I really think you're going to love Wild Grain as much as my family and I do. And thank you again to Wild Grain for sponsoring today's video. The next story takes us to Long Island, New York, and this was posted on a local news station last July. And the mayor had something to say. He said, and I quote, "That front yard looks hideous." Let's go ahead and take a look at this together and then I can share some thoughts.
Very natural look. Butterflies, bees, and birds coming. It's not just some grass doing nothing.
But her village mayor sees it very differently.
When ugly is that overwhelming, you have to call it what it is. That front yard looks hideous.
It's the outgrowth of a Town of North Hempstead grant to encourage native plant gardens.
Wow. Free plants, great. I'm taking that.
But the look clashes with her village code. She received this summons with a fine of up to $2,000.
Fail to maintain yard.
Zhang says this is maintained. Native Long Island plants grow without chemicals and help absorb rainwater. But the mayor says the transformation is troubling.
Which property would you like to live next door to?
Native plant advocates here in Port Washington have launched a movement to get suburbanites to ditch their lawns. They say gardens like this one are more attractive because of their benefits.
Sustainable gardens are not just beautiful for the eye, they protect our drinking water. We're trying to move away from these big green lawns that are sucking up too much water from our aquifer.
There are lots of towns on Long Island which are actually encouraging people to put in wildflowers because they don't want all that pollution going into the bay.
After 4 rounds in court, a compromise, the summons dismissed, the garden can stay at a height of under 4 feet. The mayor says for the idea to catch on, he thinks the look should be more pleasing.
There potentially is a happy medium. That, in my opinion, is not it.
Zhang hopes to encourage a change in mindset about what looks good in the garden.
We need to encourage people to do the right thing for us and for the planet.
And she's put up a sign to make her case clear. This isn't neglect, it's a conscious choice.
Well, keeping the plants at a 4-foot height was the compromise, and the mayor's probably thinking cutting the plants back to a certain height will make things look more tidy, and it may. And I can understand why this can be a very divisive topic because it can look very messy, especially to someone who's not a gardener. Native plants don't always bloom, and so it could look very weedy. But in this case, I did see some really pretty blooming natives like the Echinacea purpurea or the coneflower, some agastache, bee balm, and even some milkweed. There are other ways to rewild a lawn like meadows or even prairies. Becky Griffin, a community and school garden coordinator with the University of Georgia, has been slowly transitioning sections of turf on her property into a micro-prairie, using native plants chosen for how they'll support pollinators and wildlife. What used to be lawn is now a space she and her husband use to slow down, watch birds, and enjoy the wildlife that's moved in.
I like ecosystems, and I wanted native plants that actually benefited pollinators. We get all kinds of bees. We have bumblebees, halicid bees. I am very lucky that the monarchs like to visit on their way to Mexico. So it has become a pollinator magnet. And what we have done is early spring, we mow it down, or my husband mows it down. He has an electric mower. You can use a weed eater just to kind of get it all down so that the spring wildflowers have a chance to pop up like we're seeing here. I think there's a couple things you can do to make it a little more organized and a little less chaos. Providing a fence or a definitive area, marking that with either rocks or a fence or something that defines that chaos area, and then maybe some signage. So it can be an educational resource for that whole community as well. Well, it was a process. The first process was to see what was naturally here. I like native plants, so we let things grow up the first year and remove the things like thistle and dog fennel that we really didn't want. In the next year, we selected really for the things that were native that we wanted. And then after that, we just kind of managed it. And I will collect some seed and add those to the prairie, so it is evolving. It is an evolving landscape. Every year, take away a little bit more of that lawn so you get a little more comfortable with that. So think about things a little bit differently. And then over time, you're going to really appreciate what you have. You're going to love the fact that you're providing an ecosystem for the environment and enjoying it yourself.
This trend has gained so much traction in recent years that there are even landscape companies that offer services of converting your lawn to meadows or pollinator gardens. I actually found an article where this was done in a suburban neighborhood by a landscape company called Monarch Gardens out of Nebraska. You can see that the title of the article is called Nature versus Suburbia, Reviving Wildness at Home. And in this photo, you can see it looks like a typical or standard suburban neighborhood where the homes all look pretty cohesive and they all have a lawn, a green lawn in front and in back. And in the next photo, you can see that the house in the center here has started the process of converting their lawn. And this appears to have been taken, these photos, in the fall or in the winter because the landscape looks dormant. And this is probably the worst that this landscape is going to look. Once everything starts waking up in the spring and in the summer, this will look a bit better. Now, what I can say about this is that it does look pretty wild, but one good thing that I noticed is that they left a strip of grass in the center. What this does is provides a path and a place for your eye to rest. It also looks intentional. Now, as far as this goes in a suburban neighborhood, for me, I think this looks pretty polarizing, especially when you look at homes on either side that have just a green lawn. It really sticks out. So it's not something that I personally feel like I could do in my front yard. This is something that I would reserve for my backyard, just because I would like to keep the peace with my neighbors. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. Is this something that you would feel comfortable doing in your front yard? The next type of repurposing is because their grass just won't grow. And this could be for various reasons. It could be the light conditions, the soil conditions, or maybe water. And they just decide they're done with the lawn and they're going in a different direction. In fact, last summer we visited Elizabeth and we did a tour in her garden. And Elizabeth was having this issue where her front lawn just wouldn't grow. Every summer it would just go brown. Her husband and her had had enough of it, so they finally decided to remove the grass and start planting a garden. And Elizabeth has a beautiful mix of both perennials, annuals, shrubs, as well as evergreens. So even in the winter, when all of her flowers are dormant, she has winter interest and structure to look at, with paths and benches and so forth. Elizabeth's garden is a perfect example of converting your whole front lawn into a garden. This is just so charming. And you are in a small city lot here, right?
I am.
Would you happen to know how big your lot size is?
I wouldn't. My husband would. I made this garden because we had a lawn and it would turn brown every year because we used to have a tree in the corner.
Okay.
And so the grass was for shade. And we had to take the tree down. And so we had shade grass and the grass would burn. So I decided to, instead of fight it, I'd plant a garden instead.
That is
and
perfect.
That's how it became. And this all happened around COVID.
That's when most people really got into their gardens, spent a lot of time at home. And you know, that's very wise because watering a lawn is difficult, especially now as we head into the hottest part of summer. And a lot of people are actually giving up small pieces of their lawn now to start pollinator gardens and whatnot. So this is actually great because you're supporting the environment by having all of these plants for the pollinators. Now, she does have a smaller lot. She is in an urban setting, and so her yard was very manageable to convert from lawn to flowers. Elizabeth's garden was the perfect example of how you can reimagine a front lawn. And in general, the way that she created her garden seems to be more widely acceptable than the rewilding that's taking place with the native and pollinator-friendly plants. It just has a different aesthetic, and because she has a more organized flower garden, it's typically seen as a traditional flower garden and not as jarring as, say, the other look that people are not as accustomed to. The next type of repurposing has to do with converting your front lawn for growing vegetables. Now, with the cost of groceries on the rise year after year, people who have never gardened before are starting to take an interest in growing their own food. And you might be thinking, why not grow a vegetable garden in the backyard? Two reasons. Maybe they already have and they've run out of room, or the light conditions aren't right back there. For most fruits and vegetables, you need full sun in order for them to grow best. And for some people, this might only be possible in the front yard. When I was doing research, it seems that it's more widely acceptable to have a front yard vegetable garden than it is to have a rewilded front yard growing plants for pollinators and wildlife. Some people might value growing food over growing flowers. They might look at it as superior. But I think that there's a way to do that can blend beauty and utility. This isn't a black and white issue, and gardening can be very personal, but we also live in shared spaces. Now, I personally created a small pollinator garden right outside my raised bed garden, and over the years, I've added a couple more native plants, and I really love the way that area looks. It is really wild and messy, but the purpose of it is to bring pollinators to my vegetable garden. I don't see myself as the type to ever have a fully rewilded front yard, but my beds are pretty packed at this point. I've even had a neighbor make a comment to my husband George while he was taking out the trash that my beds looked pretty busy. I'm guessing that he meant they looked pretty full. I took it as a compliment. But in any case, let me know where you fall on this subject. Do you like a fully manicured lawn? Do you like a rewild yard? Or do you fall somewhere in between? Do you have any experience with this? Does anyone in your neighborhood have a rewild yard? Or maybe you do. Let us know down in the comments. And any of the articles that I referenced, I will have linked down below if you want to do a deeper dive into this topic. And thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I'll catch you in the next one.